There's a lonely trail just outside St. Louis that locals call Zombie Road, a place where the line between history and nightmare blurs after dark. Whispers abound of ghostly figures, spectral Native American warriors, the lingering souls of Civil War soldiers, the phantom of a weeping woman, even the zombie killer of legend. Some swear the very ground is cursed, claiming the old road was built over sacred burial mounds, a rumor that only amplifies its eerie reputation. By day, this wooded path is tranquil, but at night, with mist threading through the oaks and the crunch of gravel underfoot, it's easy to feel you've stepped onto a thoroughfare of the dead. To uncover the truth of Zombie Road, however, we must journey back to its origins in real, documented history, a story as dramatic as any ghost tale. Every legend begins with a truth. Let's find it. From warpath to railroad road. By axe and torchlight, a road was carved through the Missouri wilderness amid the chaos of the Civil War. In the 1860s, this humble dirt path, officially named Lawler Ford Road, became a vital back route for Union forces and settlers moving west. Winding through dense oak hills and dipping toward the Merrimack River, the trail was originally cleared to be an access route to the river ford, a strategic crossing point. Union Army supply wagons rattled along the rutted track during the war, ferrying troops and material through the backcountry. Each footfall and wheel groove laid down during those years helped define the road's course. Legend would later claim ancient footsteps beat this trail first, saying indigenous peoples traveled and even consecrated this land long before Missouri ever saw railroads. But in the aftermath of the Civil War, it wasn't myth or legend driving the next chapter of Zombie Road. It was the rise of industry. By 1868, progress came clattering in on iron wheels. The Glencoe Marble Company opened quarries in the Rocky Hills, rich with limestone, and a small railroad spur was built along Lawler Ford Road to haul out stone. The once quiet wagon path now echoed with the scrape of shovels and the thunder of steam locomotives. Laborers toiled to lay track by the river, blasting and grading the land where needed. In cutting through wild terrain, many men risked life and limb, and some never came home. Construction accidents were frequent in that era, and local lore holds that numerous workers lost their lives building and maintaining the line. As trains began to run, the dangers only grew. The tracks hugged steep embankments and flimsy trestle bridges, and over the years, more than one locomotive met with disaster on this remote route. Old-timers spoke of train derailments in the gorge, terrible wrecks that plunged train cars off the rails and into the woods or river. Engineers and crew were gravely injured, some killed, in these mishaps, giving the road an early reputation for tragedy. But the quarries weren't the only place where tragedy struck in these hills. In the 1870s, just up the road in Glencoe, an orphanage run by the Christian Brothers caught fire and burned to the ground. It was rebuilt in the 1880s, but that early disaster left its mark. Over the years, people began folding that story into the lore of Zombie Road, blurring the line between history and legend. Industry, tragedy, and a road of sorrows. As the 19th century waned, Lawler Ford Road remained an important artery for local industry. Freight trains chugged along the Merrimack's banks, and nearby sawmills and quarries sent wagon loads of timber and rock down the dirt road to the riverboats. But the road's prosperity came at a human cost. Legends of Zombie Road are rooted in very real tragedies from this period. One of the most infamous incidents occurred in 1876 when a local judge's widow named Della McCullough was taking a stroll near the tracks. In a cruel twist of fate, she failed to hear an oncoming train whistle until it was too late. Della was struck and killed by the locomotive, her life instantly cut short on that lonely stretch of road. Her death, reported in hushed tones in the community, was a grim addition to the road's growing catalog of misfortune. And Della was not the only victim. Runaway boxcars, derailments, and industrial accidents continued to plague the line through the late 1800s. Workers in the quarries lost fingers, legs, even their lives, to the unforgiving machinery. On stormy nights, slippery rails sent freight cars careening off track. According to one account, a derailment on a high trestle sent an engine tumbling into the brush, killing the crew on impact. Each calamity added another ghost to the lore. The broken-hearted widow, the unlucky brakeman, the nameless laborers buried in quarry slides. By the turn of the century, locals began to wonder if the road itself was somehow cursed by all this bloodshed. Through the early 20th century, Lawler Ford Road kept evolving. As rail traffic along the Merrimack declined, trucks took over the hauling duties, rumbling down the narrow dirt road loaded with stone and gravel from the riverbed. The once bustling quarries gradually dried up. By the 1970s, the last quarry shut down and the area fell silent. Without maintenance or traffic, the old road weathered away. Pavement, where it existed, cracked. Weeds and wildflowers burst through the gravel, and the forest slowly reclaimed its territory. By the 1980s, Lawler Ford Road was essentially abandoned, a forgotten, overgrown lane swallowed by trees and creeping vines. It was in this quiet, decaying state, muddy and swallowed by the woods, as one writer described it, that the stage was set for legends to rise. And rise they did. In the decades after its closure, people who ventured down the ruined road began reporting uncanny experiences. Hikers spoke of a pale apparition of a woman drifting along the old rail line, wearing what looked like a long, old-fashioned gown. Local folklore eagerly supplied an identity. They say it's Della McCullough, the very widow killed by a train in 1876, unable to rest peacefully after her tragic end. Some claim to have heard her disembodied cries echoing in the night, or to have seen her standing on the tracks only to vanish when approached. Thus, the real tragedy of Della's death birthed one of Zombie Road's most enduring ghost stories, a tale that would fuel this area's haunted reputation for generations to come. Legends in the dark. As the sun set on the era of industry, a new chapter for the road began, one steeped in lore and fear. By the mid-20th century, Lawler Ford Road had gained notoriety among local teenagers as a secret haunt for late-night meetups. In the 1950s, with the road isolated and rarely patrolled, it became a popular lover's lane hidden in the woods. But along with stolen kisses came whispered stories that would give the road its chilling nickname. Legend has it that around this time a patient escaped from a nearby mental asylum and disappeared into the dark woods along the road, leaving behind only his blood-soaked hospital gown. Soon, teenagers parking there after dusk murmured warnings about a deranged killer lurking in the trees, a gaunt figure who would bang on car windows or stalk unwary lovers. They called him Zombie and claimed he would tear apart anyone he caught. The terrifying tale spread like wildfire, and before long, Lawler Ford Road was dubbed Zombie Road in honor of this fictitious boogeyman. This zombie killer legend captured imaginations. Teens swore they could feel eyes watching from the thickets, and a few even reported being chased out by a wild-eyed man covered in gore, though such accounts were likely pranks or overactive imaginations. In truth, no record of any escaped mental patient exists, and there was never an asylum in the immediate area, a fact later confirmed by historians. But that hardly mattered to those swapping stories around campfires. The myth of the murderer on Zombie Road became a staple of St. Louis urban legend. It was the perfect horror story for an isolated stretch with no lights and no houses. A place where, once night fell, anything seemed possible. Authorities eventually caught wind of the shenanigans. By the late 20th century, police were actively patrolling Zombie Road and barring entry after dark, citing frequent vandalism and safety hazards along the crumbling trail. Trespassers could be, and often were, slapped with hefty fines up to $1,000, which some joke is the most frightening thing about Zombie Road. The closure only made the location more tantalizing for thrill seekers. With official access forbidden at night, the legends of what might be happening in those woods after hours grew ever more dramatic. Meanwhile, the ghost stories that had quietly incubated over the years truly began to flourish. People shared tales of strange sights and sounds on Zombie Road that went far beyond the old zombie killer yarn. Folklore collectors and ghost hunters took note, and the site gained a reputation as one of Missouri's most haunted places. In 2007, a paranormal documentary even chose Zombie Road as its centerpiece. The film crew from Children of the Grave claimed they captured footage of shadowy, childlike figures darting among the trees, igniting a frenzy of interest in the supernatural side of the trail. Though skeptics were unconvinced, many visitors since have gone looking for proof that those stories are true. Ask locals about Zombie Road today, and you'll hear a litany of unearthly encounters. Floating orbs of light are often reported in the woods, bobbing blue spheres that dance above the old railway bed with no logical explanation. Some say they resemble the lantern of a long-dead train conductor, eternally searching for his lost caboose. Others have caught glimpses of flickering lights deeper in the forest, like the specters of Civil War soldiers still roaming on nighttime patrol. Hikers frequently speak of a creeping sensation of being watched. On more than one occasion, groups have fled after spotting a tall, faceless silhouette standing among the trees, observing them. When they call out or draw near, the figure melts into the darkness without a sound. Are these merely tricks of shadow and moonlight playing on the mind? Or something beyond our understanding? The people who experienced them will tell you they felt utterly real. And of course, the mournful lady in white, believed to be Della's ghost, remains a fixture of Zombie Road's lore, with countless accounts of a translucent woman wandering the trail and vanishing before disbelieving eyes. From phantom children laughing in the bushes to phantom trains whistling in the distance, nearly every classic ghostly trope has made an appearance in stories about Zombie Road. Over the years, the line between verified history and folklore has blurred. The very real tragedies of the past, a wartime supply route, deadly railway accidents, a grieving widow's death, have all been woven into the hauntings people claim to witness. The result is a tapestry of myth and memory that gives Zombie Road its sinister mystique. As one author put it, the truth is there, besides. The combination of dense woods and fog in the valley is enough to cause one's spine to tingle. Even in the absence of concrete proof, the legend of Zombie Road endures, fed by the adrenaline of those who venture there and the chilling atmosphere that greets them. In reality, Lawler Ford Road has been reborn as the Rock Hollow Trail, a smooth paved path open only in daylight hours for hikers and cyclists. In 2010, the city of Wildwood refurbished the 2.3-mile route, hoping to put the past to rest by giving it a new life as part of a family-friendly park system. But a fresh coat of asphalt and a new name haven't dispelled the whispers. After sundown, the trail is officially closed, and few dare to trespass there alone. Those who do sneak in at night often report an oppressive quiet under the tangled branches, as if the woods are holding their breath. Some come back claiming they heard disembodied footsteps behind them, or saw misty forms flitting across the path. The local police, ever vigilant, attribute such reports to overactive imaginations, and they'll gladly remind you that the only thing you'll definitely see if you're caught after dark is a ticket book in the officer's hand. So, is Zombie Road truly haunted by spirits of the past? Or are the legends simply our way of remembering the people and pain tangled up in this place's history? On Zombie Road, the line between fact and folklore is as thin as the mist that gathers in its hollows. What began as a humble Civil War byway and later a bustling industrial lane has, over generations, transformed into something of a mythic landscape. In the end, the real history of Zombie Road, filled with hardship, blood, and loss, proved to be the fertile soil in which Missouri's spookiest tales took root. And as long as people continue to walk that trail and feel the hairs on their neck rise for reasons they can't quite explain, the legend of Zombie Road will live on, ensuring that the past is never truly dead.